Hey RC fans, here we go again. Today I want to show you a new plane. If you are starting out in radio control flying like me, complete beginner, getting some buddy box time can be a real pain in the backside. It can be quite frustrating as well. You know, you take all your kit to the flying field and you find that you don't get any flying time, or you can wait there for absolutely hours. So I got fed up waiting for some flying time because I had a petrol, a nitro IC trainer plane, which I'm now selling, and I'm going over into electric, and wanting to get some flying time, I went and bought one of these. This, some of you may recognise, this is the Multiplex Easystar. It is an absolute doddle to fly. Literally, you can just throw your battery in once you've got it all hooked up, full throttle, and you just chuck it in the air and away it goes. And it's quite safe. If you crash it, it's just going to be that bit that hits somebody, if it hits anybody. And it's totally 100% Elipore foam. It really is easy to fly. There's no ailerons on here at all, absolutely nothing. All you've got is, let's show you this here. All you've got on the back is your elevator and your rudder. That's it, nothing else. So this is my one. When I built this, I covered the whole plane. I covered the entire fuselage. I don't know if you can see this. The entire fuselage is covered in fibre tape. I fibre taped the whole fuselage, and then I covered that again to protect the fibre tape. I covered it in this nice red and yellow, it's just stick-on coloured tape that I picked up from Aviacraft. Worked out really well. Took me best part of a day to do this, but it really does reinforce it, because here you've got a weak point. Doing some reading up on the internet, RC groups and stuff like that, you find that when people crash these, this is the part where it tends to split and break, right here. See where the fuselage is at its smallest point. The walls on the side are quite thick, but what you find is when you're gluing it together, underneath here, the floor of the fuselage is very, very thin. So when I glued it together, I got some Zaki foam safe glue and a paintbrush, small paintbrush, and I painted the entire inside of the fuselage with Zaki to stiffen it all and strengthen it, and then I covered the entire inside with fibre tape. So it's all fibre taped and super glued in there to stiffen it and strengthen it all. And then I've got my Velcro stuck in there for my batteries to sit in. And that's it. And as you can see on the inside as well, what I did, I drew on the side of the fuselage, I draw 2 lines on my battery, so it's written on there 3 cell, and as long as those 2 lines on each side line up with the lines on my battery, I know I'm good to go. So I don't have to worry about finding the centre of gravity for every flight. I just sling a battery in, line it up with the lines, and that's it, away we go. Now this kit is really, really cheap. If you want to get flying, and you want to get flying cheap and quickly, the entire fuselage kit is 54 quid. This one came from Model Spot. So you've got 54 quid for the fuselage. I've put on here a Turnigy plush 40 amp speed controller, and a Turnigy 2700 kV in-runner motor. That's all glued into the fuselage when I built it. And there's a little prop on here. This is a 4.5 inch diameter by 4.1 inch pitch blade on here, propeller. And it flies real nice on this. It flies really, really well. I've just bought some other propellers for it. A 4.5 by 4.5, a 5 by 5, and another one, I forget which now. But I'm going to do some testing with slightly different size propellers. But the absolute maximum propeller you can get on here is a 5 inch propeller. It's literally from, if you're looking at this, from the centre of the propeller, down to the fuselage, you can't really get anything bigger than 2.5 inches. So this 4.5 inch The most you can go to is a 5-inch propeller on this, unless you want to start chopping out the fuselage. That's not a good idea. Orientation with this is a nightmare because the wings are grey, both sides. Trying to keep your orientation as a learner is really difficult. You know, 100 feet up in the air, you can't even see which you know, the yellow and the red, you can't even differentiate it. So I stuck some fluorescent yellow or fluorescent yellowy green tape on, that's just sticky back film designed for covering balsa models. I just stuck it on, got the wife's hairdryer, heated it up, made it all stick. And also on this one, don't know if you can see, on the front here I've put little white LEDs on the front and on the back. This side here and one here, these are red LEDs. These work quite well actually, because at our flying field, when your plane drops down below the tree line, you can't see it. You have no idea which way it's facing. It just goes completely dark. But I can see those LEDs coming at me. As long as I can see the white LEDs, I'm good to go. So that's it, yeah, nice and cheap. 54 quid for the fuselage, about less than a $5's worth of tape all in. Quarter of a roll of fibre tape, hardly any colour tape required. So even when it's flying close, you can see the difference between the red and the yellow. The 40 amp speed controller, £22. 2700 kV in-runner motor, 18 quid. So for 94 quid, you've got a plane that's really good for flying with beginners. And it is so stable. Literally you can take off, get to a safe height and take your hands off the sticks and this thing will just float and it will hover. If you've got a nice breeze, you can shut the throttle completely and you can fly this thing for 45 minutes easily. No problem at all, one go in one hit. I've been experimenting with batteries as well, sizes and powers and different types, and I've settled on these ones. These are Overlander, 2700 milliamp packs, 3 cell. They're really powerful batteries. They are really good, and I like the size of these. The actual shape of them, they're really flat, so they sit on the fuselage floor really nicely. You can just literally shove it down in there, put a bit of foam in there as well to just make sure it doesn't move around, and yeah, it flies wonderfully. This plane is absolutely fantastic. Currently this is my favourite out of the 6 that I've got. So that's it really. You've got to be careful with the centre of gravity on this, because it's a hand launch plane. If you get the CG wrong and you make the centre of gravity, if you make this plane nose heavy, when you try and take off and you throw it, it will nosedive instantly. Literally you've got about 1 or 2 seconds to grab the sticks and pull it up. But if you get the CG just right, when you full throttle, it will literally try and pull itself out of your hand, and you don't even have to throw it. You can just literally, a very gentle toss up in the air and away it goes. It's a bit of a screamer, a bit noisy once it's running at full throttle, but other than that, I'm really chuffed with this. This is absolutely fantastic, and it is so tough. Now one thing I will say, there are problems with this plane, and it is a well-known problem. When you're flying around, the wings will try to come apart. They only slide in and slide out. There's no bolts or anything to hold them in place. So after a few flights, I discovered that my wings were starting to come out of the fuselage. So what I did, I don't know if you can see that in there, I stuck 3 magnets. I made little holes in the end of the wing, stuck some magnets in there with some Zaki glue, and put some fibre tape over the end, because the magnets are quite strong. You can get these from any decent model shop, just regular magnets. So I've stuck 3 on there, and there's 3 on the other side of there. You can see those little shiny dots. Those are the magnets. Now one thing I have discovered, I took this out to the flying field yesterday, tried it out, and those magnets are not strong enough. Short 5-minute flight, brought it down to land, and the wings are again showing signs of trying to come apart during flight. So I'm going to have to make more modifications to probably put some Velcro on there as well. So that's the Easystar. I'm taking it up the field again on Sunday, so hopefully I'll get some video of flying it around and show you what it's like. But yeah, it's a fantastic plane, cheap as chips, and the other thing you'll find is most flying instructors, or my flying instructors at our club, are happy for me to fly this around on my own, fly solo. I had three short flights on a buddy box, mastered the takeoff and landing, and it really is easy to land. It's so smooth. So once you've got the takeoff and landing nailed down with this, you'll find that probably a lot of instructors will be happy for you to fly this on your own. Whereas any other aircraft that's got a big propeller on the front and ailerons and God knows what, you might find a lot of instructors will err on the side of caution and want you to stay on a buddy box until they're happy. But no, my instructors have said, yeah, they're happy for me to fly this around on my own. I'm still a beginner, but this makes fantastic practice for circuits, manoeuvres, takeoffs, landings, and learning your orientations. So if you can nail it with this in a couple of weeks of flying with this, something with ailerons on it shouldn't be too phasing, so you'd be good to go. So yeah, that's my Easystar. This is the very first electric plane I bought. At the same time I purchased the Multiplex Mentor, and I'll show you that shortly, because I've made some very serious modifications to it so far. It looks a mess. So yeah, that's it. That's the Easystar. I'll be filming this up at the field on Sunday, so I'll show you more then. Until then, take care guys. Until next time, fly safe. Bye.